two remaining teams are, to me, the two most fascinating teams on the grid. And I want to go to Ferrari first. The reason I want to talk about Ferrari first is because everything's been, we got the Mercedes power unit and all that stuff that we can chat about, blah, 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 blah. But Ferrari had such a underwhelming season compared to what the expectations were. Remember, this is a team that just missed out on the Constructors' Championship a year before by a couple of points. They bring in Lewis Hamilton. They've already got Charles Leclerc, who is supposed to be a multi-time world championship driver by now, I would even say. I mean, this is a talented, experienced, and heritage group at Ferrari, and it seems like the power unit's gone well for them. How did you guys sort of absorb, and what did you think of their testing in Bahrain?
The team got better as testing progressed. They found what worked on their car and what didn't work. Was a marked difference between daytime running and evening running, and a marked difference between Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc initially, and Hamilton got on the program a little bit more as the test furthered. Leclerc looked very comfortable and very happy.
Tim?
Agree with Nelson. I think the more laps they did, the better this car got. Their starts look interesting. I think the smaller turbo for Ferrari that they use, I think that is going to be an interesting narrative for that team for the first few races. Is it the right thing to be doing with this regulation? Was it the wrong thing to be doing with this regulation? Definitely is going to help them off the starts. There's no question about that. Granted, all the other teams were holding back with their starts during testing as well. But for both of these drivers, they enter with two different stories. Mm-hmm. You have, Lewis Hamilton, who really struggled last year, really struggled. I don't think he can have that same level of struggling for 2026. Really
I don't think he can endure it.
I don't think he can. And on the other side of this is Charles Leclerc, who is an incredible driver. He's one of those drivers that Max actually worries about. And when you have another driver who really worries about someone like Charles Leclerc, granted, Max has respect for Lewis as well. If you don't give this driver a car that they can go and compete and they believe that this team can win a championship, he's gone. There's no way he sticks around. There isn't. That clock is ticking for Charles Leclerc to win races, to win a championship. And so I think for this team, this is a huge year. This is a huge year to try and hold on to both drivers and try and give them something that they can compete and can see a bright future for themselves as well.
In different ways, it's make or break. I think that's what you're trying to say. But for Fred Vasseur, it's also make or break. And this project, the fear I have with Ferrari is that they have come out of the block strong with a smooth engine that gives them a lot of miles, a lot of, let's say, possibilities early on. A car that looks light. I must admit, it doesn't feel overweight at all. I think they're definitely on the weight limit or close to it, but admittedly not with the most advanced aerodynamics yet. We know it's got quite a basic version of the front wing, but that means there's a lot of emphasis on development, and that's where I'm afraid with Ferrari. It feels it could be like 22, where they start strong and then get overtaken. And that's the feeling that just creeps up on me.
Now, granted, if we look at it this way, if Ferrari has hit a home run here and they come out swinging and they have a competitive car all season long, this is going to be incredible for Formula One.
Yeah,
it's going to be incredible for Ferrari. And, for Lewis, this could be the year that he could go and win that 8th driver's title, and that is something that would be an incredible story, and it would be great on all respects, right? It would be great for the sport, be great for Formula One, be good for us, and be a great story at the end of the day. So there's two, I think there's two, maybe three ways that this thing can shake out and can go. And I think that's what makes the start of this season just like so exciting, guys.
So let me ask you guys a really unfair question. Are you ready?
Blue. Oh, sorry.
No, I don't understand why there's blue on the Ferrari car. But no, or not asking you that. I wanna know this. If you were to give Fred Vasseur truth serum and ask him, hey, Fred, if you could go back to the summer 18 months ago when you and Lewis agreed to this contract, got this thing done. Well, I know what happened in the winter, but you guys know what I mean. When these discussions started to happen. Do you think he would still make the same decision? Or do you think, in retrospect, he's looking back and going, maybe we should have stuck with Carlos?
I think he would have made the same decision, because I think this team would not be fundamentally in a better position with Carlos. Yes, he may have been closer to Charles last year. There would have been less noise, etc. But he tried to get Lewis to add something to Ferrari, a level of knowledge, of race winning pedigree that the team was missing, or championship winning pedigree. And that gamble may not pay off, but I think he backs that gamble still.
It's a very expensive, could be calculated roll of the dice.
Mm-hmm.
But when you believe that you can get one of the greatest Formula One drivers of all time on your team, you don't think about what the consequences are. You go and get one of the greatest drivers of all time, and you bring them and get their ass into the seat of your race car because they're going to make you better, right? That's just the way it is.
Conversely, there is Toto Wolff who didn't want to give him a longer term contract. So
yes, that's also true.
That is also, two things can be true at the same time. And that relation may have been played out. I've been on this show before, and I what I think will happen with Lewis. But if they have a car that starts off pretty strong, he might have a different outlook on the season. But ultimately, I think Leclerc is quicker than he is at this point in his life.
And is that going to be an issue for the team, guys? Like Lewis has said, his DNA is in this car, which is a pretty confident statement. Is that going to be? I mean, the reality is that age finds everybody. Is that going to be something Lewis would be willing to accept?
Well, at some point, every person has to accept that, but
not unless you're Fernando Alonso.
Booyah! But what I do think is that if it's not going the way he wants it, Lewis, there's going to be friction within certain aspects of the team. Mind you, he doesn't have a full-time race engineer right now. He doesn't have a full-time comms person with him at this point. He feels very isolated within the team if you look at it from the outside. So I think there's work to be done there.
Okay. Very, very interesting. So this will give away the whole thing, but I'm curious about where you guys have Ferrari sitting at the end of this season. And again, whenever you're doing a prediction, it's an unfair question, but Ferrari seems to be the biggest. They could be great, or they could let us all down again. Where do you have them finishing at the end of this season right now?
Honestly,
Both of you have them in fourth.
Honestly, I hope I'm wrong. And
me too, actually. I think really. F1 needs Ferrari to be higher. They do.
Yes. That we like F1, the stories that are with both of these drivers, the stories that is with the team, the stories is with their team principal and Frederick Vasseur. We need it for sure. Like there's no question about it. And I think that and I hope we're wrong, but if they're in that battle for constructors title, that's going to be great. Oh man, it's gonna be so good. But granted, they're up against some really stiff competition now. Like this top four that we're talking about, I don't see it being separated by hundreds of points. I see this top four being separated by like handfuls of points.
So it could change week to week.
Yes.
Definitely dependent on track characteristics.
Yes.
But I just think they may start strong, but they have the opportunity to fade away.